So, what's going on, everybody? Swagkage here, and welcome to today's video. This is not going to be, I don't normally do this type of video, unscripted discussion. I've got, the god Rogersbase here. Say hello, everybody.
What's going on, everybody? Rogersbase here to talk about why One Piece is better than Naruto.
Well, actually, we're talking about why, Naruto is better than One Piece.
Yeah, well, you're wrong, so...
This is the thumbnail and the title probably implies a very different message from the one that we actually want to get across in this video. I don't actually think Naruto's better than One Piece. I'm just going to kind of dick around in this video and talk about why people like why Naruto's might see One Piece as shit, or why Naruto's might see Naruto being better than One Piece. And we're gonna do a video of the inverse on his channel, so make sure to check that out. Rogersbase is great. But yeah, so reason number one why Naruto is better than One Piece. I have not read One Piece, not past 10 chapters.
Right, that's probably that's the most important thing, I think, is if you haven't read One Piece, of course Naruto's better. Yeah. It has to be, of course.
Yeah, it's like comparing like Lord of the Rings to a blank sheet of paper.
That's right. I might actually take the blank sheet of paper, though, and just watch the Lord of the Rings movies, but that's a different discussion topic.
Oh, yeah, fuck reading the books. It'd take way too long. But, yeah, as far as my experience with One Piece goes, it is just me not watching it as a child when I saw it airing on Toonami, and me constantly regretting that decision because I keep hearing people talk about how it's the best anime of all time now.
Yeah, so here's the thing about that, though, is if your first exposure to One Piece was the anime, then I think, especially because of the era that we grew up in, then I actually think I totally understand why you would like Naruto more. Because the Naruto anime, I feel, has always been at least somewhat solid in North America. In North America, compared to 4Kids, you guys didn't deal with 4Kids. 4Kids One Piece is atrocious. I mean, it's literally the worst thing
and stuff like
to
that.
have ever existed.
Yeah.
Sanji had a lollipop in his mouth.
Instead of a
come
cigarette.
on.
Yeah, well, One Piece was on Toonami, so that wasn't as much of an issue. It wasn't that censored, but it just looked, to me as a kid, it looked really, really outlandish. And Naruto kind of looked the same way. I actually thought Naruto looked stupid when I first saw it, being introduced to me on Toonami. I just watched Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, and I only happened to catch Naruto because I had absolutely nothing to do, and I was like, yo, this is the best show ever. And I've been with it since episode 4, and I never really had the same experience with One Piece. By the time I actually caught an episode of it, it was like into the hundreds, and I was like, well, shit, a little bit late on it now.
Yeah, I kind of feel that's how I am with Naruto too. I think anybody who watches one of the big three probably feels the same way. It's like when you start with one of them, you have to just basically stick with that one before you go crazy.
Of course. Now. I guess the big three were different back when I was a kid, like 10 years ago. It was sort of like Bleach wasn't as popular over here in the West, so it was like Dragon Ball, One Piece, and Naruto. But now Dragon Ball like kind of faded out, and it went into you got Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece, and you rarely run into people who have watched or read all three. Typically you've got people who stand just one of them, and I have a prime example of that. I still need to read both Bleach and One Piece, and I hear conflicting opinions.
Hey, there's something we could agree with though. We could agree on one thing because neither of us have read it. Naruto and One Piece are better than Bleach. That's true.
Well, Naruto didn't get canceled. Neither.
Neither did One Piece. I mean, One Piece is still ongoing. Yeah. You guys don't even have your manga anymore. You have Boruto. You don't even have the Naruto manga.
Don't get me started on Boruto. This video is about.
I have a question.
This video is about why Naruto is better than One Piece and Boruto.
I know, but I gotta know. Is the Boruto manga at least somewhat decent?
It's currently just a recap of the fucking movie, so no, and it's with worse art. Yeah. I like to pretend that it doesn't exist.
That's probably the smart way to go about it.
But on the actual topic of like why I might see Naruto as better than One Piece, from what I can gather about One Piece, what very little I do know about it. The thing that I see a trend of with them, but now I might be totally talking out of my ass, and if I am, go ahead and correct me here. I might sound like a total idiot.
Sure.
But the thing about One Piece is that I guess Naruto has this as well, but it's not so bad. Like, there's almost too much lore. Like, it is a result of like Oda being too good at doing his job, and there's just so much lore that like it's impossible for him to focus on and explore it all, and there end up being a lot of side plots that never get tied up and stuff like that. And Naruto does have the same thing, but I feel like with One Piece it's a little worse, and you know, Naruto at least somewhat knows what it needs to focus on and what it doesn't.
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to agree with you on that. I do think that Oda, I mean, we'll talk about it more as to like why I like the lore of One Piece in my discussion version, but the one big thing I feel in regards to One Piece and the lore is that even though it does seem kind of like daunting for someone who's a new reader, like you'd go, what is the Void Century and Haki and Devil Fruits and, you know, who are all these characters? At the same time, Oda knows when to basically focus on a character to give them a backstory and flesh out that backstory.
Oh yeah, you can't say the same thing about Kishimoto. Like, he'll thrust the character's backstory
right.
in at the most appropriate time or inappropriate time. Like, I don't know how much you heard about the Toby identity crisis, you know, Naruto chapter 599, but
okay, so this is something I actually know about Naruto. Yeah. Toby is Obito, yes. Right?
And everyone was upset.
Right. I know. Yeah, all right. I get one point.
Everyone was upset about this, and right afterwards, you know, Kishimoto decided, now let me go into Obito's backstory instead of just continuing with the plot. Like, and it was just really out of place because they were in the middle of this huge climactic battle. All of a sudden you start seeing flashbacks about Obito, and it's like, Now, it was handled a little better than I may be implying. I think the anime has a much more like organic transition into the backstory of Obito than the manga did. But yeah, for the most part, I think Oda does know when to focus on characters. From what I've seen so far. But like, I think like he's like, there's too much. Like, he's like, I don't know how many times I can repeat myself before sounding like an idiot. Yeah, I think I've gotten my point across.
I was like, yeah, I was clearing my throat because I'm like, I'm fighting words. I'm gonna have to punch you in the... I was kidding. No. You're not making a very convincing argument as to why Naruto's better.
Oh, well, no.
I'm gonna be honest.
This is only one thing. Oh, no. I know that. The other thing about the lore is that I think Naruto's lore is a lot easier to wrap your head around. I think there are a lot, like, the rules in Naruto are a lot more clear and concrete than the rules are in One Piece. And I think that this is a problem that a lot of anime struggle with. A lot of anime, manga, just shonen in general struggle with is having the abilities be like too broad and, you know, too hard to define. And granted, Naruto has plenty of hacks and stupid powers spread throughout it, but you know, like, you can understand the way the shinobi system is organized like really easily from the first few chapters. After you're given the lore about how chakra works and all of the natures and stuff like that, like, you know, it's really easy to understand. And I know that it's probably rich coming from me, considering my channel is dedicated to explaining Naruto lore to people who might not understand it, but I just I like the way the lore is structured in Naruto, and I also think that there's not too much of it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. I can't even imagine like where I would start if I was going to start doing like One Piece lore videos. Like, honestly,
that's where I plan on starting.
Maybe
if, I do One Piece lore videos. Yeah.
Yeah, what are devil fruits?
Yeah, exactly.
What is Haki? What are the 3 types of Haki? You know, armament Haki explained.
There you go. Exactly.
One every video. Hey, you know what? Hey, that's great. I might start doing that.
So there's that. Also, Naruto has better games than One Piece. This is like indisputable. I think everyone agrees.
I don't know about that. I really like Burning Blood. Well, actually, I guess on the whole, Naruto does have better games than
I like
Piece.
Blazing
more
than Treasure Cruise. I like the Ultimate Ninja Storm games more than the what are the like the Dynasty Warriors-esque games?
Oh, One Piece Muso.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Warriors.
Pirate
Yeah.
Warriors, yeah.
Pirate Warriors.
And,
I like Pirate Warriors. It's fun. I like Muso games in general,
Yeah.
so I don't mind them. But like, I really do genuinely enjoy Burning Blood. But I think that comes from the perspective of somebody who's just like a big One Piece fan and likes to see those characters. Whereas I totally agree with you. Like, I think most of the Naruto games are pretty good. And yeah, I guess I can't disagree with you on the whole. Because my argument was gonna be, okay, well, the Jump Superstars games are really good, and then I'm like, wait, Naruto's in those. So it's like
you've got quite a few Naruto.
It's not like a good argument
in the Jump games.
Yeah.
Now, see, I don't know how much else I'm qualified to talk about when it comes to One Piece, because I kind of don't know.
No, just go crazy. Be ignorant. That's fine. That's why these videos are fun.
Naruto has not more sales, so can't say that.
Yeah, sales-wise, One Piece blows Naruto out of the water.
Not in the West.
That's true. Well, wait. Well, yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah.
Naruto is the most popular anime on Crunchyroll.
That's true. Well, actually, no. I don't think that's true anymore. Isn't Dragon Ball Super?
Dragon Ball Super crashed Crunchyroll, so Dragon Ball Super is obviously the best anime.
Well, I'm being serious, isn't it? I don't even like Dragon Ball Super.
No. What
I
I'm
think
saying, I think it goes back and forth between like Naruto, One Piece, and Dragon Ball Super, but generally Naruto stays at the top.
Yeah, I don't think One Piece is ever the most popular on Crunchyroll. I don't think it ever is. I think it's usually like top 5, but I don't think it's ever like hit that peak like Naruto and Dragon Ball have.
Speaking of anime, One Piece is animated by Toei, and
yes,
I don't like Toei very much.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you there too. Naruto's anime is better.
Now, Naruto's anime does have a lot of really low points and a lot of points where you're just like, yeah, this character's off model. This looks terrible. This looks bad. Like that happened a lot in the Forest of Death in part 1. And
is that the character arc with Pain?
No, the Forest. I don't
know. I don't know anything about Naruto.
Forest of Death is the tuning. It's the first half of the tuning exams. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
so, fun fact: that's the first episode of Naruto I saw. I saw one of the tuning exam episodes. It was Shikamaru is the guy's name, right?
Versus Tamari,
and he's fighting like some blonde girl.
That's Shikamaru versus Tamari, one of the best fights in the series.
Yeah, I really liked that. I was like, this is really good.
Naruto has some incredible fights. Now, I can't speak on the fights in One Piece, but I'm
sure
it's like I would be really hard pressed to believe that like One Piece absolutely shits on Naruto's fights. Like at the very best, I'm willing to believe that One Piece and Naruto have comparable fights. But Naruto's fights are like really good. They might be better than One Piece's, but I'm pretty sure One Piece has phenomenal fights, probably on the same level as Naruto's.
I think animation-wise, Naruto's probably better.
Oh, yeah, Naruto versus Sasuke at the end of the series. Well, actually, both part 1 and part 2. Phenomenal animation.
But there are still some beautiful episodes of One Piece. Like, even though on the whole, the One Piece anime doesn't look great, there are some great fights and some really beautiful-looking episodes. Like, one recently that I'm thinking of was the final fight between Luffy and Doflamingo during the Dressrosa arc in One Piece, where Luffy goes Gear 4 for the first time. And the anime, I don't know who they chose for the animation director of that episode, but it looked really good. You could just see like the fluidity in Luffy's arms and him punching Doflamingo and all the strings coming out of the ground. So yeah, when One Piece is on point, it's on point. But the lows of One Piece, I think, are lower than the lows of Naruto.
Yeah. Well, in terms of animation anyway, I don't think the same can be said about story with Naruto calling Obito the coolest guy. I don't know how much you know about Naruto, if you know about the Obito is the coolest guy type meme, but
here's what I know. Here's what I know. This is the one quote I know of Naruto. Believe it.
Believe it. Believe it.
You don't sound too happy about that.
Now I'm reaching a little bit now. I mean...
That's okay, man.
Naruto has really good fights. It has better games. It has a better anime. The lore is more tied down and, it's easier to get a grasp on.
Sure.
Hinata's pretty cute.
I'm like, where are you going? There's like dead silence for 4 seconds. I'm like, what is he trying to come up with? Hinata's cute, yeah.
Does One Piece have anyone as cute as Hinata?
I mean, yeah.
Are you
One Piece,
sure?
Girl-wise, I'm positive, yes. We're going to save that for my why One Piece is better than Naruto discussion, but yeah. The girls I'm talking
about like adorable cute. Like, where, like, she just makes
for sure. We've got Koala. Okay. Yeah, we've got Koala, we've got Nami, we've got, trying to think of more cute character. Vivi, I think is a good choice. Vivi's a cute character. Vivi's kind of annoying, though. Rebecca's the same thing. Rebecca's cute but annoying. Shirahoshi, but she's also annoying. So
I don't know who any of these people are. Is this what it sounds like listening to me speak?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm like, who's Obito? Shikamaru, Tamari, Tenten?
Well, you know all of these characters. You actually just listed off like 4 of the only characters you know.
Yeah. I know Sasuke. I knew the Uchiha clan, you know.
Naruto has some pretty good antagonists, I think, but this might be a weak point because not everybody, even in the fandom, is in agreement about this. And One Piece probably has great antagonists, too.
Yeah, One Piece has got some really good ones. I think it's because, like, I'm going to ask you this because I don't know how it is in Naruto. Is it basically like there are tiers of characters set up within the world in terms of villains?
Because,
like, for One Piece, we've got
this. Because, yeah,
like, where it's a clear. Because in the One Piece world, we've got the Shichibukai, who are like the warlords of the sea, who basically are pirates who work for the Marines. Yeah. And then above them, you've got, I'd say, both above them, they're kind of like on an even level, are Marine headquarters, which are like the admirals, so the head of the Marines. And then you've got the Yonko, which are the emperors of the sea, which are the 4 most powerful pirates in the world. So I'm assuming like the Hokage are basically the Yonko
the Kage
of Naruto,
are like
basically
the highest level characters,
right?
Generally, anyway. Now, it gets a bit like tricky when you start talking about Rogue Ninja, who don't have an official rank, but Rogue Ninja, like you can tell which ones are like really powerful by like if somebody's like Kage level, they're given an S-class rank. If they're a missing nin. But yeah, you've got Genin, which literally means low ninja. You've got Chunin, which is mid ninja. You've got Jonin, which is high ninja, and then you've got the Kage. Yeah. Me, myself, being a Kage, I know, like, we are at the highest level of power in the Naruto world, generally, anyway. Then you've got, like, people like Pain, who can take out, like, all of the Kage if he wanted to, but again, he's an example of, like, a missing nin. So, again, it's weird, but I'm sure One Piece has a similar thing, where you have some people who aren't officially ranked, but are incredibly powerful.
Sure.
Like,
absolutely.
Generally, you can categorize everybody by strength. Like, if you're having discussions about who's stronger than who, people will use terms like Kage level or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the same thing here. Like, you have Yonko level or Admiral level. I mean, people do the same thing for One Piece. I think that was interesting hearing you explain, like, the Rogue Ninja concept, because that's kind of how the Shichibukai are. Is they're warlords, and they all are of varying strengths. So you have, like, some characters who are warlords of the sea who are just like incredibly powerful, and then some of them who are not powerful at all. And there's an example, like a character named Mihawk. I don't know if you know who Mihawk is.
I've heard the name before, but
no,
I don't know.
Yeah, he's like the most powerful swordsman in the world, basically. And people make the argument that Mihawk, even though he's a Shichibukai, is basically like an admiral level character, which is like one of the strongest characters in the entire series. But he's called a Shichibukai because he like works for the Marines and he allies himself with that group. But he's actually like more powerful and could probably even take out one of the top subordinates of a Yonko if he really tried.
All right. Yeah. No, that's similar to how Sasuke and Naruto are both officially Genin at the end of the series, but they're the strongest characters alive at the same time. So it gets weird, but generally you can categorize everybody under strength. In the final arc of Naruto, everything gets weird because they start introducing all of the 6 paths shit, where you have you jump from the strongest characters being like mountain busters to like god level characters capable of like cutting the moon in half, and it's like this really weird shift. But
hey, believe me, we've got guys who could summon meteors from the sky, so trust me.
It's the same way with Madara. Actually does that. He summons a meteor, and then the Swagkage has to use one of his jutsu to make the meteor lighter. And then the Kazekage has to use, like, he grabs, like, an assload of sand and uses, like, all of the sand. Like, they're in a desert, and he has to use, like, all of the sand around him to stop the lightened meteor. And then Madara just summons another one. And then, like, after that, you jump to the next level, which is, like, the actual god level. And it's like, what? I thought, what's the point of like fucking kunai knives if people are capable of shit like this? But yeah.
So Madara, just to clarify, Madara was like the main antagonist of the series, though, right?
Pretty much until it
yeah,
gets...
and so like he was probably on the level of like one of the Yonko.
Well, the thing about Madara too is I think he's one of the best just shonen antagonists. Like you can like just period, because of the fact that he's handled so well, because he's built up all series long. Like, you see a statue of him in Naruto and Sasuke's fight, like hundreds of chapters before he even arrives in the series. And then Obito claims to be Madara for the longest time. Various characters talk about him like, he's like some like fucking like god. Like everybody's terrified of him, and then he shows up and you're like, oh shit. Because like he's just crazy, and he's been hyped up so much that that's kind of what you expect of the guy. I think he's a really good example of a villain, and I'm not gonna just not give One Piece, I'll give One Piece credit and say, yeah, it probably has a character as cool as Madara in it, because like I haven't read it, I don't know any better, but Madara's a really cool villain. Yeah,
I think we're still kind of like earlier on in the story, because obviously like we're not at the finale, so we're not seeing the final fights with Akainu or any of the like main antagonists of One Piece. But the way you're describing Madara, it's giving me vibes of Kaido, which is like one of the 4 Yonko in the series, and he has been built up since pre-time skip. I mean, they've been talking about him for such a long time.
Same
he
here.
Completely obliterated the crew of one of the other Shichibukai. So when we do end up seeing him, and that's going to be relatively soon, I think we're entering his arc at the end of this year. I have a feeling that's going to sort of be on the same level.
All right, cool. So just ask King of Lightning, because King of Lightning, like, he loves Madara, right? Like, Madara is, like, hands down his favorite character in the series, so he'll tell you about how great Madara is.
Right on. I will do that.
So yeah, Naruto has Madara too. That's another selling point it has over One Piece.
Yeah. Yeah. So Madara, easier to understand lore, a better anime, and you haven't read One Piece. Those are your
better
reasons.
Games. Better games.
Better games. That's good. Those are good reasons.
Yeah. Also,
I think those are 5 really good
Naruto
reasons.
makes me money. Now, I can't use that as a reason, because eventually I will get into probably doing One Piece videos. Enough people have asked me to.
Sure.
And there's probably, like, a dire need for, like, One Piece lore videos on the site. So
leave them to me, man. I need some of that YouTube revenue. Leave it to me, buddy. I'll do Double Fruits Explained. Don't you worry.
I like money, too.
I know. Hey, we could just do... We could do it together.
Yeah. No, I could totally get you on. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it's easy enough.
Cool. But
that means that I would have to start doing Naruto lore videos, though.
Believe it explained.
Oh boy.
But no, I'm sure I don't need to tell you guys who Rogersbase is. He's great. He stands One Piece about as hard as I stand Naruto. He's also a pretty big Nintendo buff. Go check out his channel if you haven't already. He's awesome. He actually has a little bit more subs than I do at the time of this video. We're gonna be doing the inverse of this video, like I said at the beginning, over on his channel after this. I don't know when it'll go up. Probably a day after this one does.
Yeah, so you're putting this up Sunday, I think, and I'm putting mine up Monday. So if they just check on Monday, it'll be there. Yep.
All right. So you guys make sure to check him out. If you're new here, I find it hard to imagine you'd be new here and the first video of mine you'd watch is like a collab, like podcast type video, and you would still manage to make it like 25 minutes in. But
Yeah, right.
If you are new here, make sure to click that subscribe button, maybe the like button. Yeah, check out the video I do with Roger. I guess tomorrow or now if you're watching this after I upload it. But clumsy outro aside, talk to you later, everybody. Roger, say bye.
See you later, guys.
Yeah.